Bitcoin is going crazy. Out there in the social media, it's Bitcoin, 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 and everything else is going to the sky attitude. Now, yes, few of them are going to the skies for sure, and Bitcoin is at the all-time highs. But when you do add on something in here, you kind of get to see, okay, we are at the all-time highs. That's a quarterly chart showing you we are at the all-time highs. But then something we've talked about from last 2-3 months. Have we reached there yet? What may happen if that turns out to be true? How do you evaluate that? Is the market taking that resistance for Bitcoin dominance? Is the alt market trying to show you that they are about to explode, or are they showing you the level of strength which they have is weakening? These are going to be key and critical while you look at the market for a breakout, because right here in front of you, you're watching a breakout. Now, remember, we have times before just like this where majority of the factors which you see right now was there back in that day. And do you know what happened? Let's break that down. Just yesterday we were on extreme greed. Today we're still greedy. The market is at all-time highs. Everybody is looking for another 5, 10, 20x in the market. And this is why I say, if you want to be a part of the real family, where we look at things logically by keeping the emotions away, use the link in the description below. Now, let's jump on to the things that matter. This is total alt market, excluding Ether. And what you're watching is that back in the day when you had a negative divergence and its extension, which was valid, you literally saw that the market doing something. Yeah? What was that? This break to the downside in the RSI was invalidated. The price went up. So here we are. You're watching that. You broke higher, you're moving up. Now, keep that in mind. There was a breakout in the price action. Yeah? For sure. You're getting that right now. What if this is that time of the history where you're like, think, I'm doing something different. And then you repeat the history. How do you understand that? Yeah? You go into total crypto market, because if the total crypto market is showing you one direction, individual assets showing you I'm going up usually does not matter. Now, this is the total crypto market giving you a baseline idea about the supply and demand. You're watching the volume, you know what's happening in front of you. You can deny, but that doesn't change the fact. Price went up, but the strength in the market, the interest, the demand, that went down, and especially the buying demand that reduced. Good. So the price went up, RSI went down with the volume. Now, people argue that we are still above the 50-day moving average. So let me ask you something. If you are to short the market, will you short here or will you short here? Okay, I'll put the argument in the opposite side. Yeah? If you are to buy an asset, will you buy here, or will you buy here? It's up to you, yeah? But that's a weird argument. Let me put it that way in politically. Yeah? Now, what do I mean? The price is back up to the all-time highs, but the RSI is nowhere near that. You can actually see how the trend is forming there. And we have seen these kind of moves historically. Some of the assets which are really exploding and getting a lot of attention, say for example, look at this. XRP is up barely 1%. XLM is up 7.45%. Now, remember, XRP did have negative divergence. XLM did not. I've been talking about that before. But the trouble is, historically, these two are highly correlated. Yeah, so this can be the dark horse, maybe. But what's the trouble? If the entire market goes down and XRP follows the suit, then there is a trouble in that area too. Now, how do you notice that? How do you try and analyze that? You're picking that ISO token and you're looking at this. Now I'm like, shit, do I really want to go and do this? That's a basic question. Now, I'll remove all these lines. Those lines actually represent a point where the RSI break that region or bounce from there. Yeah. Now, in both cases, you can see what happened there in the price action. Do you notice that that resistance is all the way from 2017 on a monthly chart? You're still inside that pattern. Now, yes, if this asset breaks through the standard deviation region here, now that's super bullish for that particular asset. Trouble is, how long is going to be the reaccumulation? That's a 70x. Now, when will we reach there? This cycle? Next cycle? Who knows? Why such an argument? Yeah? Because you need to understand, after going through this long of a macro move, if you break higher and stay here, we don't know how long it's going to stay there before it actually goes up. So if you are there in the market for next 5 years, that is going to be an easy part for you. Now pick up XRP on that matter. The long term. Yeah, there's a lot of questions there. If you do pick up the long-term chart for XRP, this is exactly what you see. You have the price staying above the all-time highs. Good? You're on a monthly chart for XRP. Right now, the trouble is, the price came back up to the all-time highs, but the RSI did not. Now you zoom in. On a weekly, not an hourly, for sure. You zoom in. And you are in here watching there was a negative divergence. There was a pattern to the downside. You broke that to the upside. Now, if you put line chart, you will see a little bit different story. You'll see that the price tried to push a little bit higher. But watch this. Once you had the negative divergence, the macro, and then the extension. So the micro and the macro, what was happening there? The price did move up. The price did confuse the majority, especially this thing last time confused me. Yeah. I went back into that particular asset after the negative divergence, and I still remember that emotion to this day. There was a negative divergence which was confirmed. Think about that. Negative divergence was confirmed in here. Good? That was one, and that's on a weekly. What happened? The price went up from there. Yeah? All of this, that happened after that. So the price moved up this much, but from the drop, it moved up this much. Now measure that. This is the basic thing I want you to understand. That went up kind of somewhere close to 140%. And I thought negative divergence doesn't matter, man. The buying volume, that really doesn't matter. The buying strength, this thing, that doesn't matter. I went back in. What happened? Boom. Just 1 week, 70% drop. Am I doing that this time around? No way, man. No way. Now, historically speaking, whenever you have close enough, the micro, not the swings, the micro negative divergence, these assets, for some weird reason, drop like this, 80, 90%. Yeah. And I'm here sitting like, okay, that negative divergence, it's not invalidated for sure. But watch this. The price dropped 90% after that. That was literally like a bear market. Yeah. Now, come here this time. You really do not have a negative divergence right now, right here. Good. Where are we going to form that? I don't know. In XLM terms, yeah? I really don't know. But when I go back to crypto, which is basically Bitcoin for now, because of the institutional investments, because of the whales who are active in the market, you're watching this simple and easy. You are at a point, and this is not a micro chart. I'm using a weekly, monthly, and a quarterly chart so that you understand this clearly. How long do you think you have to break through that region? 2 weeks? 3 weeks? Yeah? You get that? Now think about this. There is a pattern inside this which I want you guys to understand clearly. Right now, no one will really care about that. But the moment that pattern starts to play out, everyone will notice. This is a familiar pattern. We've seen that over and over again in multiple assets. I can keep this on one side and then bring the asset on another chart. Yeah, let me bring the Luna baby here. You'll see this. If you were there back in the market during that era, it was very hard. Trust me, it was very hard for me, because when I was saying, guys, this is not a good pattern, this is a negative divergence, not everyone listened. Yeah, you had the micro negative divergence. So Bitcoin already showed you that here. Then you had the swing negative divergence. You had that thing in here. Now think about that. The price remained there and flirted with that region for so long that people forgot that this pattern was playing out. Now again, what pattern? Yeah, watch. It's a rising wedge. You don't have to be confused with these things, even though it takes too long. Sometimes when it is too long, it is a huge trap, because each time when the price is going up, who do you think is exiting? Like, what? People don't understand the RSI. That's the trouble. It's the strength. Whether you are looking at the buying or selling, it's the strength. If there is no one to push that weight to the upside, how do you think it's going to go up? Yeah. And if it is going up, it's the weak guys. Think about the gym. Yeah, the workout. The weak guys pushing with everything they got. But they knew they don't have the stamina emotionally. The moment it pushes back down, they're done. Boom. And that's why such a huge candle to the downside. The big guys already moved out. Do you see any buying volume here? In real terms, no. That can happen in here, and right now I would look like an idiot for saying this. But I remember the exact same argument when I put that back in the day here at the bottom. It's recorded. You can go in the YouTube, you can go in the Twitter, you'll see me calling, guys, this is the bottom. Why? Because history says so. Last 10 years of history, blah, 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 blah. Majority did not listen. Right now, here we are looking back at last 2 years and saying, okay, that was the bottom. But what's the trouble? How long did it actually take for the market to say, okay, that guy was right? 84 days. That's like 3 months. A lot of people went short and now they're short dead if they didn't reverse their positions. Right now, you're at that territory, just the exact opposite version of it. And I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I really don't want to participate on that side. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm missing something. But if that something is the news, if that something is the fundamentals as they say it, let me ask you one thing, one basic thing. Do you think all the fundamentals in this asset didn't get priced in over the last 2 years? Do you think the increase in momentum after the reaccumulation is still valid? Do you notice something? Good. Answer yourself. You don't have to answer me, but you can answer yourself and think about the future. Now, if you do pick up, say for example, XRP, one thing which you have to ask yourself on the basic side is that we all know this is a fundamental asset. This is a strong asset in the market. Agreed? Now watch. Whenever the price went up, now I mean, even if it's just a 3x, the price has dropped enormously. Now think about the next leg up here. When it went up 3.6x, it dropped. Now why? The buying strength was not there. Okay, good. So from here, if you're watching that thing, right now you're somewhere on just 70% to the upside. But first question is, what was the average drop there and what did you do in this cycle? Somewhere around 50% plus drop. Now, what's the common drop, average drop of that particular asset? Whether it's 78% there, whether it is 74% there, whether it is 68% there, whether it is this one which was 92%, it's all up to you. Yeah, it kind of gives you a baseline idea what this asset actually does once it moves up from the moving average region. You kind of get to see that. Now you also tend to realize the fact that the weekly is still here. We are in the overbought territory. We are doing this, but the volume for some reason is fading. I mean, buying volume is required to say the price is going to continue to the upside. That more and more buyers are coming in for real, not fake, real. This is that. Now look at the other side of the equation. I think this is the most important thing right now in the market because the majority are not looking at it. We are here at the highest region for last quarter for the buying strength in the market. And just watch this. With all of this happening, all-time highs in Bitcoin, you're just taking off now for the retest of trends, which means people searching about Bitcoin around the globe. Now, put that into XRP terms. Yeah, XRP cryptocurrency. Yeah, here you go. Watch this. It's increasing over last 12 months. Now, tell me honestly, yeah, whenever this thing goes up like this, is it close to the top or is it the next new big cycle starting? Because the majority usually start searching about something when? At the bottom or close to the top? This is something you need to answer yourself and take decisions accordingly. Now, you pick up this asset. This is a different one. Yeah, memcoin. You're in here at that trend line and you're taking a resistance. Now I'm like, that's weird. That's weird. Yeah, because on a monthly it did not have negative divergence and it's still pushing lower. It dropped heavily, which is actually a good thing to say, like that asset dropped 73% from the local highs. There should be some upside. But here we are taking resistance again. Even though the market showed you a lot of strength, that asset is taking resistance. Now, if you do go into multiple assets you like, say this is Solana, you put that on a monthly and this is where you are. Price, remember the price is not here, it's here at the highs. RSI is where? Tell me. This is what a lot of people do not understand for some reason. Now, say you're not these guys, you're looking at the trend line. Okay, I agree. You're showing a bit more room on a monthly. But is that a continuation to the upside as a rally? Or is that going to be a retest before the rejection? Now, wherever it goes. This is one of the reasons why when I went short, I went naked short. No leverage. You have a lot of room for safety, and you also understand the fact that this rejection here was very strong when it's inside this pattern. Whether it does this and break or whether it does this and break, it really does not matter when the price is back in this region. It's going to be very hard to hold on to these assets. I remember saying the exact same thing when the price of these assets were low and going lower. Yeah, I was early. Yeah, I started buying in here at this region. Oh, a little bit down at this support. Yeah, it kept going down. I bought. And at one point, it reached the macro support and reversed. We took the profits here. That was a very decent sized position and a great ROI as well. Now, the question, however, remains like this. The price action on Ether shows you this on a monthly chart. This is the monthly chart. You're reaching a resistance region on monthly trend line at $3,000 per Ether. There's a lot of news. There's a lot of movement in the market. Bitcoin coming close to, $120,000. It's all-time highs. All of that thing is happening. Maybe it's Ethereum we have to search. Let's see how people are searching. Not much. Strange. They don't have the exit liquidity. They may have to push that thing a little bit more higher to get the exit liquidity and then flush. So one of the key aspects in here is to look at the market and think, when everybody is becoming bullish, should you be in the same region? When everyone is looking absolutely bullish, should you be the same? This is the basic question. What are we really doing in here? What if we get rejected here? There's a lot of different questions you have to answer yourself because the momentum shifted. The momentum shift in this asset is valid on a monthly, on a quarterly, and if you've noticed something, say this is a continuation pattern which got invalidated, then change in momentum. So what should this be? Possible continuation pattern which may break this region as well. How long will it take? 1 year, 1.5 years? I don't know, but on a quarterly chart for Ether, an asset this strong, is showing you this. You are close to a resistance. So make sure you don't FOMO in, you don't argue on the macro side of the market. If you are going to position for next 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. If you're looking at short-term rallies, this next 20 days, 30 days, good. Go with your gut. But otherwise, stay wise, take the great decisions based on the macro chart. I'll meet you guys in the next video. Bye for now.